Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we will talk about Nest.js. So Nest.js framework is increasingly becoming popular among developers who want to build scalable server-side applications. So those of you who don't know what Nest.js is, you can go to this website, which is nestjs.com, and according to this website, Nest.js is a progressive Node.js framework for building efficient, reliable, and scalable server-side applications. So Nest.js fully supports TypeScript, and in the background it uses Node.js framework and Express. So what we are going to do is we are going to learn how we can use Nest.js to build a REST application. Although Nest.js supports many different protocols, but for start we are going to build a REST application using Nest.js. Now Nest.js have a very extensive and very good documentation. So if you are thinking about starting Nest.js, you can click on the documentation tab and you will be able to see tons of good documentation. So under the documentation you can see what Nest.js can do and what are the technologies it supports. So you can see under the techniques it can support authentication, database configuration, validation, caching. So many things it can support. Also it can support GraphQL, WebSockets, microservices like Redis, MQTT, RabbitMQ, Kafka. Also it has the support for OpenAPI, Swagger UI, and many other good stuff. Also, if you want to see how popular Nest.js is, you can go to the GitHub page for Nest.js, and you can see as of today it has more than 31,000 stars. So it's becoming really popular. So let's talk about the prerequisites of learning Nest.js. So knowledge of TypeScript and JavaScript will be very important for learning Nest.js. If you have the experience of Angular, it will be a plus because it uses techniques which are already used in Angular, for example. Now because we are going to be building a RESTful API, it's good to have a REST client such as Postman in order to test your REST application. Also make sure you have the latest version of Node.js installed on your operating system. So once you have all these tools, we are good to go, and let's get started. So what we are going to do, we are going to just open our terminal and we are going to install some Nest.js packages. So what I did is I created a directory. So I'm going to just go in that directory, which is called work. So the first step is to install Nest.js CLI globally in order to create our Nest.js project with this CLI tool. So we are going to just give this command, which is npm i-g, and then just write @nestjs/CLI. And in my case, because I want to install this globally, I need the sudo privileges also. In your case, it might not be necessary. So I will just press enter and give my max password. And now this CLI is installed on my operating system. So once this Nest CLI is installed, we are ready to create our first project. So in order to create a new Nest project, what you need to do is you just need to give this command nest, because we have installed Nest.js CLI globally. This nest command is going to work, and then write new and the name of your project. So we are going to create a project called car manager. So I'm going to give this name. You can give any name for your Nest.js project, and then press enter, and it's going to create a new Nest.js project for you. Now first step here, it's going to ask you which package manager you want to use, npm or yarn. So I'm going to just use npm for this. So I'm going to just press enter, which is going to create our project using this npm package manager. So now you can see our Nest.js project is created, and you can see it gives us hint also that we can cd into this directory, and then we can just run our project using npm run start. So what we are going to do, I'm going to just do ls. You can see this project is created inside this directory. So I'm going to go inside this directory, and then I'm going to open this project using Visual Studio Code. You can open this project with any other editor or IDE of your choice. I'm going to use Visual Studio Code here. So I'm going to just open this project using Visual Studio Code, and let me open the terminal also inside Visual Studio Code. Now let's discuss about the Nest.js project structure. So you will be able to see this package.json, where under script you will be able to see all these commands. So we can start our application using npm start, which is going to essentially run nest start in order to start our application. And you can see we can test our application using npm test. Under the hood, it's going to use jest for running our test. You can also see how you can run different commands for running different kind of test and coverages, and running your application in different environment, for example development or debug or production mode. You can also run lint for linting your application files. Now let's talk about the source folder where our code is there. So we are going to start with the main.ts, which is the main entry point of your Nest.js application. So here you can see it's very simple. It's going to just import this Nest factory from the core Nest.js package, and you just need to pass your app module, which is there inside this app.module.ts file. We are going to just see what's there in a bit, but you just need to import this app module, and you just need to pass this app module as parameter in the create method, and then you can just start your application on the port. For example, by default it's going to start on the port 3000, but you can change this port also. So app.listen, and it listens on the port 3000 by default. So now we are going to go inside the module.ts folder, so app.module.ts, which we have imported inside our main.ts. So this app.module.ts file is going to contain the implementation of application root module. Now there are three important building blocks of a Nest.js application, and these are called controllers, providers, and modules. So three building blocks: controllers, providers, and modules. And you will be able to see one file for each component. You will have the controller.ts file, you will have the module.ts file, and you will have the service.ts file. So services are also called providers in Nest.js. Module.ts is going to contain the implementation of your application's root module, and then app.controller.ts is going to contain the implementation of a basic Nest.js controller with just one route. So by default it's going to just listen on this get route, and it's going to just return you hello world. So controllers are used to just define your endpoints. So it will be a main interface for your application. So you can define endpoints into the controllers. Now the app.service.ts file is going to contain the implementation for your endpoint, for example. So for example, some REST request comes into your application, it's going to just go here, and then this controller, in this controller you can see there is an instance of app service, and whatever you want to return as a response for that REST request, you can just provide the implementation of your response inside the service. So let's go inside the service. Here we just define the implementation about your service methods, right? Now also you will be able to see, for example, when you go to the app.modules.ts, this kind of annotation here. So these are called the decorators. So if you are familiar with the Angular, you might have seen these kind of decorators, right? So because we are in the module decorator, here we just provided @module, and then inside the module you can provide the imports, controllers and providers. So provider essentially are the services, right? So we have imported the app.service and app.controller here, and here we provide the mapping of all the controllers you have inside your application and all the providers you have in your application. And sometimes you need to import different kind of files in your Nest.js, and those imports we are going to do here. So we are going to see more about imports in the later part of our application, right? So as I said, you have services, modules and controllers. Also you have the app.controller.spec.ts file. So this will be your unit test file. So here you can write your unit tests, okay? And you can also define, for example, service.spec.ts file for testing your services, and for your integration test you have this test folder. So here you can run your integration test, and in Nest.js it is called end-to-end test. Okay, so here you can test your whole application using Jest, and under the hood it uses Supertest for your integration tests. So now let's run our application. You just need to write an npm start here, which is going to run our application. And once you see this message which says Nest application successfully started, you can go to your browser and then just write localhost :3000 and it's going to return hello world, right? You might be wondering, this is our TypeScript project, so we haven't transpiled our TypeScript into the JavaScript code, and how it's running directly using npm start. In the background, Nest.js is going to take care of transpiling and then running your application directly using npm start. If you want to just explicitly build your project, you can give this command npm run build. It's going to transpile your TypeScript files into JavaScript. But if you directly use npm start also, it's going to transpile directly your files and it's going to run your project. For example, I'm going to just stop this application. I'm going to go to the service.ts file, and here we have the get hello world, which is returning this hello world to us. I'm going to just add hello world from me, and then I'm going to just restart our application. It's going to directly transpile our TypeScript code, and it's going to start our application on the port 3000. So let's refresh this page. Now it says hello world from me. So this is how you can create your first Nest.js application. Till now we have seen how we can create our first Nest.js project, and we have seen a broad overview of our Nest.js project. Now we want to add some endpoints to our REST API. So what my plan is, let me show you the API documentation which I want to implement. So our API name will be car manager API, which will be able to add a car or read all the car information or read full data of an individual car, or it's going to delete a car, or it's going to update a single car. And these are the routes or endpoints which I have defined. So we are going to define a get cars route, and then we are going to define post car, get car by ID, put car by ID, and delete car by ID. So this is what we are going to do. And by the way, you can also create this kind of Swagger documentation using your Nest.js framework, but this is not the part of this demonstration. I just created this Swagger documentation separately for this demonstration, but I'm not going to show you how you can create this using Nest.js. So let's get started. So because we have already downloaded the Nest.js CLI, we are going to use the Nest.js CLI to create our module, service, and controller. So the good thing about Nest CLI is we can create our module or service or controller, or it can do many other things automatically, so you don't need to write your modules or classes or TypeScript files from the scratch, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to generate a module, a controller, and the service for the car. So as you can see, these were the files which are automatically generated for us. We are going to remove all these files once we have generated our car module, controller, and service, and we are going to use that because we don't want to just send hello world, for example, and this route is not even required in our API, right? So process of creating the module, controller, and service is really simple using Nest CLI. You just need to write Nest, and then you just need to give this flag G, or you can just write generate here. In the short form, you can just write G, and then you write what you want to create, right? So for example, first of all, we are going to create a module, so I'm going to just write module here, and then give the name of your module. So we are going to create a car module, so I'm going to just write car here. Okay, so Nest generate, and the name of the component you want to generate, and then the actual component name which you want to generate. Just press enter, which is going to create a new module for you. So when Nest.js create a module or controller or a service, it's going to create a folder with the same name which you have given here. So we have created the car module, and inside this we have this car.module.ts file, right? Now, as I already mentioned, this @module is the decorator. If you want to create this car module from the scratch, you can simply create this without using this CLI also. You just need to add this module decorator on top of your module class name, and this module is present in the Nest.js common package, right? So just write Nest G controller and the name of your controller, and then press enter, and it's going to create a new controller for you. So here you can see this controller is created for us, and you can see for the controller you need to add this decorator controller, and then you need to add the route which you want to add to your controller. So we want this sub route which is car. As you can see, all our route have car, 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 car. We are going to create the get car route also. We are not going to create extra cars module or controller. I decided that we are going to just create car route here, not cars, right? So keep this in mind. And now we are going to create a new service for our car. So here you just need to write service, so Nest G service car, and it's going to create a new car service for you. Okay, so we have generated the module, controller, and the service TS files. Also two extra files are created for the unit test: car.service.spec.ts, which is the unit test file for the service .ts file, and you also have this car.controller.spec.ts. This is the unit test file for your car.controller.ts file, right? So now you will also observe that in your main module, so when you go to the main module, you will see here that under the imports element there is a new mapping which is added here, which is cars module, and this code is also auto generated, right? So if you are creating your controller or module or your service manually without this command line, you just need to add your module which you have created, and you just need to import it under your main app.module.ts file, right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the controller and provider, which is the main app controller and main app service provider, because we don't want this. We just want the car module, car controller, and car service, right? So I can just remove this controller from here and this provider from here and remove these imports. Now let's go to the car.module.ts. So I'm going to go to the car.module.ts here, and you will see that inside this module we have imported the car service and the car controller. Okay, so these files are also automatically generated, and we have added the decorator here as I mentioned earlier. And then under controller we are going to add all the controllers. In our case we only have one controller, which is car controller. And under provider we are going to add all the services, right? So we only have car service right now, and we are going to just export this module, and this is the same module which we are importing in the app.module.ts file, which is this one, right? Also, we don't need this main app.service.ts file because we have removed this dependency. So I can just right click and delete this service file. Also, we can delete this controller also, right? So I'm going to right click and delete the controller for the main app, and then app.controller.spec.ts file also I'm going to remove, right? So now we only have the car controller, car module, and car service and unit test files for that, and we have this app.module.ts where we are just importing our car module, and in the main.ts we are just importing our main module, and we are just starting our application on the port 3000. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just clear this terminal, and I'm going to just transpile my TypeScript file to see if everything is working correctly or not. So I'm going to just write npm run build here, and once all the files are built successfully, and if I don't see any error, we can move forward. So as you can see, there is no error in transpilation, so we can move forward. So what we are going to do is we are going to start from the controller here. So let's create some of the endpoints in this controller. So the first thing which we need to add to the controller is the service. So we are going to inject the service, which is the car service, into our car controller. So I'm going to just create a constructor here, and inside this constructor we are going to just inject our service, which is the car service. So first let me just import the car service in car controller. So I'm going to just write import, and then I'm going to just import the car service which we have already generated, right? So just write // and then car.service, right? So once we have imported this car service, you just need to add the car service name also here, and because we have provided the same name here, car service, right? So we are importing this inside our controller, and now we are going to just inject this service instance in the constructor, and now we are going to just inject this car service instance into our controller constructor, right? So I'm going to just name it as car service, and also I'm going to remove this space from here. So once again, I'm going to go to my car.service.ts file, and you can see in the service we have included this @injectable decorator. So whenever you create a car service or any service manually, you need to add this @injectable decorator on top of your service, right? And that makes your service injectable, and that's how Nest.js is going to recognize that this service is injectable, so we can inject this service inside the constructor of the controller, right? Now we are going to create some of the endpoint methods for our car controller. So the first method will be get cars, let's say. So I'm going to just make this method async method, and let's say that method name will be get cars, and in the body of this method we are going to just call our service instance for now, so car service, this dot car service, and we are going to create different methods later in the car service also, and we are going to name this method same, which will be car get cars. So this method we are going to create in a moment in the service, and also because this is an async await method, so you can just write return here. If you are not returning anything, then you can also just write return without await here. I'm sure you know this concept from before also, right? And then we are going to provide a new decorator, and this decorator name will be get. So @get here, you just need to add get here, and you just need to import get from your Nest.js common package also. So you can see get is here, and we are adding this get decorator here, and you just need to add these parentheses here, and inside these parentheses you can provide any sub route. So if you want to get the car by ID, you can just write ID here, or whatever routes you want to add here, right? So for now we would just want to add the get method. So when you just add this empty get method, this means that you are just calling the get method on this car route, right? So let's add this get cars in your service file also. So I'm going to go to car.service.ts file, and here I'm going to add the public method, which will be async await method, and I'm going to name it as get cards, and in the body what I want to do is I want to return something. For now I'm going to return empty object from here. Now we also need some kind of mock data for the cars. So I'm going to create a new file here, and I'm going to name this file as cars.mock.ts file. Okay, so here in this mock file what I want to do is I want to return some kind of dummy car object array, right? So I'm going to just export const cars is equal to then some kind of dummy data which I already have. So I want to add one object to my array which will be already available. So this array will be a mock array which is going to return this one object which is already present here, and the other object we are going to add dynamically to our array when some request comes, right? So what we have done till now, we have added this get cars into our service and into our controller, right? And we are just calling or returning the get cars method from the car service inside your controller, also inside this get cars method. So inside the cars dot service, we are going to import our mock also. So let's import our mock which we have created, which have the name cars here, and we are going to import it from the mock file which we have created. And now we can use this cars object, which is our mock data, inside our car service. So I'm going to just write private and then cars here, which will be equal to this cars, and then we can return this dot cars from the get cars method, right? So now we have just finished first endpoint, and we can test our endpoint by just running npm start command. And once your application is running, I'm going to just open my Postman, and then I will just write http://localhost 1000, which is the port on which our application is running, and then I'm going to just give this endpoint, which is car here. So essentially we are just sending get car request to our application. Okay, let's send this data, and you can see it sends us this kind of data, which is sent using this get cars method, which is there inside your service, and we are just returning the mock which we have just created, which is this one, right? And first of all, this request reaches to your controller, and it sees that your base route is car here, and here we haven't added any sub route, so that means we are just responding to the car get car request using this get cars method. In this video we are going to add other endpoints like delete car by id, get car by id, and put car by id, and also we are going to create a post method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my car.service.ts file, and here I'm going to create some methods. So these are the method which I'm going to implement. So I'm going to implement post car for the post method. I'm going to create a method called get car by id. So if the user have the id of a particular car object, then he will be able to get that data related to that id. User will be able to delete a single car using the id of the car, and also user will be able to put some data. Put means update the data if he have the id of the car element. Okay, so there is no implementation there, so I have added all these method inside the car.service.ts file. Now I think for now the async is kind of overkill for now, because we are not returning any promises here. So I'm going to just remove this async from here. So it's going to look like this, and when we will require async await, then we will add those async await methods, right? So for the post method, what we want to do, when the user sends some car related data, for example he sends the brand, color, and the model, and even the id, then we just want to add this data to our cache which we have here, which is cars, right? So in the post method, what I want to do is I want to add cars element to my already existing cars array. So this is by default our cars array object, and I want to add some element like this into my cars array here, right? Later maybe we will add MongoDB functionality, but for now I want to keep everything simple. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just push the car object, which is this one. We are also going to define the data type of this car object in a few minutes, but what here we can do, we can just write this dot cars, and if you already are familiar with the arrays in JavaScript or TypeScript, you can use a push method, and using this you can add data into your array. Okay, and once you have pushed this data, you can also return this data. Now for the get car by ID method, what we require is some kind of ID. So as you have seen here in this car object, I have defined the ID, brand, color and model, right? So let's say ID is a number instead of this kind of string, so it will be easier. And let's start with the default ID 1, and we are going to add more elements to our array using this ID, and we'll be able to get the elements by ID also, right? So now we know that ID will be a number, so I'm going to just define the data type here, which will be a number, and then we want to get the car by ID. So we have to first of all find the car by ID. So I'm going to just define a const variable which is called car, and then what we are going to do is we are going to find the car inside our array which we have here, which is cars array. So I'm going to just write this dot cars dot find, and what we want to find, we want to find the ID, right? So I'm going to just write car, and then we want to find the ID. So when we call the find method over an array, we are going to get each and every element using this car element, and then we can call car.id. So I'm going to just write car.id, and if this car.id will be equal to the ID which we are going to pass, then we know that it's our car. Now here I can see this red squiggly line which says replace car with parenthesis car. So the Nest.js already have this ESLint installed, and this linter is suggesting us to just enclose this car inside the brackets, right? So now once we get the car by ID, we are going to just return this car, right? So we can just write return car, and then it will just return the car object. You can see this like this. Now of course you can add different kind of error handling. So for example, if you don't find any car inside this car array, you can throw some kind of error, but that logic we are going to add a little bit later, for example, or let's add that logic right now. So let's say if we don't find any car inside our cars array, what we want to do, we want to throw a new error. So I'm going to just write throw new and then error. So now in Nest.js there are different kind of errors which are defined in the Nest common package. So we are going to add one such error class, which is HTTP error, for example, or HTTP extension it's called. Okay, so we are going to add this HTTP extension, and we are going to throw this HTTP extension. And you can see when you hover over this HTTP extension, you can just send the error string and also the status number. So because we are throwing this error for the not found, so we can just add not found here, and then the status code will be 404 if you are aware with the HTTP status codes, right? Now let's move to the delete by ID method. So here also this logic will be same because we want to just find the car by its ID. So this logic we can keep it as same, and it's going to be a number, so we can define the data type of the ID also. And the return value of this delete car by ID, first we need to delete this car object from our array, right? So I can just write this dot cars, and then we can use the splice method, for example. So just call this splice method, and we want to first of all know the index, right? So if you want to splice some index from a car array, what you can do here is, instead of using this find, you can just use find index method, which is going to give you the index if this ID is found inside an array. So instead of the object, you will get an index. So I'm going to just write index here instead of the car. And if there is no index, so if the index is equal to, let's say, -1, then we are going to throw an error in this case, right? And if the index is present there, we are going to splice that index from our cars array, okay? And then we are going to simply return our cars, okay? So I'm going to just write this dot cars, which will be the array after the deletion of the object if we find the ID there. Now for the put car, what I want to do is, I want to, let's say I want to delete a single element from the object which I found out, right? So let's say I have this object, and let's say I just want to update the brand if I find this ID using the ID of this object, okay? I don't want to edit the whole object, I just want to edit or update the single element from an array, right? So how I can do this? So as I have shown you this kind of Swagger documentation, as I go inside the put car, I will just send the ID of the car, and in the query parameters I'm going to pass the property name and property value, right? So I want to pass property name and property value. So property name will be, in our case, for example, brand, color or model, and the property value will be, for example, BMW or gold or the model value here, right? So we will also learn how to use the properties, right? So what I want to do here is, we want to of course get the ID, which will be a number, and then I want to use the property name and property value. So we want to pass here property name, which will be a string, and also the property value, for example. And for simplicity, I'm going to make it like camel case. So property value and property name, this will also be the string. So for this, what we are going to do, we are going to once again find our element by ID. So we can use this this code again for finding the element inside an array by ID. So we are going to find the index of the element, and if the index is not found, then we are going to throw the error. Otherwise, we want to edit that value. So how we can edit that value? Because we already have cars, so what we can do, this dot cars, and we are going to edit the car for that index. So I'm going to just add this square bracket, and I'm going to get the value of the element at that index, and then I'm going to edit the value. So we can use once again this square bracket, and this will be the property name, and we want to just replace the value by the value which we are providing in the query request, right? And then once this value is edited, we can just return the cars array once again. Okay, so we have added the business logic inside our service.ts file. Now we are going to go to the car.controller.ts file, and here we are going to add the endpoints which we want to add. So I'm going to add all these empty methods here. Let me just also remove the async from here, and I'm going to just make it public method. So now let me add all those decorators here. First of all, for the post car, I'm going to add post decorator, and you can see it's automatically added in my imports, right? So if you don't see this, just add it into your import. Also for get car by ID, I will just simply use the get decorator. For delete, I'm going to use the delete decorator, and for the put request, I'm going to use the put decorator, right? So you can see all these decorators are automatically imported in my case using Visual Studio Code IDE, but if they are not automatically added, you need to add those imports, right? Now we also need to add all these parentheses here. So let's add all these parentheses, and then let's first of all implement this post method. So inside this post method, we don't have any subroute. We just want to add the cars in the body. So there is a decorator called @body, using which we can access the body of the post request. So just write body here, and you can see this body is also added in my imports, and then this body will be the car, right? Now if you want to add the type for this car, we want to add this kind of type which have ID, brand, color and model, right? So you can either define a simple type using TypeScript, or in Nest.js they have a concept of DTOs. DTO stands for data transfer object, and DTO is an object that defines how data will be sent over the network. So we can define a DTO file, for example. So let's define this DTO .ts file. So this file name can be car.dto, for example. So I'm going to just write car.dto.ts, and inside this car.dto.ts, what we want to define, we want to define the type of the car. So we can just write export class, and class will be the car class or car DTO, and then inside the car class we can define read only ID. We can also define the type of ID, which is number. Then we will define read only brand, and the type will be the string. So once we have this kind of DTO, we can import this DTO class. You can also say this will be a car DTO, so you know that this is the DTO and not the normal class. And let me fix all the linting errors. So let's name it car DTO instead of car, right? So now let's import this car DTO inside our controller. So let's add this import, and then we can just use this car DTO as the type of our car, okay? And then we just need to simply call our service, which is our car service, and then we have the post car method which takes this car as a parameter. So we just need to do that, and we need to just return this value, right? So just write return here, and we are good to go. Now as I can see here, this body is giving me some kind of error, and it says you need to add these parentheses. So let me add those parentheses here in order to access the body correctly. So this method is done. Now we need to move to the get car by ID method. So here we are going to add this route, and we want to access the ID, right? So it's similar to using express. So whenever you want to access a parameter, you can use colon and then the name of the parameter, right? So it will be like car colon ID. So let me show you this request real quick. It will be like this: car / colon ID, and you can access the value of ID using this controller. So let me go back to my implementation, and here to access the parameters you can use a decorator called param, and you will see this decorator is also added in my imports. And don't forget to add this parenthesis. And how you can access the parameter: so our parameter name will be ID, so you can just give this quote, and then we can access the parameter by its name, which is ID in our case. And then the name of our variable will be ID, and let's say it will be a number, right? So it will be a number, and we just need to simply return the value from our services. So I'm going to just write return this dot car service dot get car by ID, and then we are going to just pass our ID here, right? So once we have this get car by ID method implemented, we can move to the delete car by ID method, and we want to pass the similar kind of param here, because we want to delete the car by ID, right? So here also we want to access the parameter. So once again we can use the same kind of arguments here, and then we can just return the value of delete car by ID method from the service, right? So car service dot delete car by ID, and we just need to pass our ID to our method inside the service. Now we will move to the put method. So also we will be passing the ID as the parameter in our put method. If you have seen this request body, so we are going to pass the ID, and in the query we want to pass the parameter name or property name and property value, right? So this will be the parameter, which is the ID. And now in order to access the query, you need to add a decorator called query. So how simple this is: so you can just add the decorator query, and then you can define your query parameters. So let's say this will be the query variable name, and now what we are going to do, we are going to just return the value, which is this dot service dot put car by ID, where we pass our ID, and we want to get the property name and property ID, right? So I can just define const property name query dot the property name which we want to pass. So let's say property name which we want to pass is property underscore name from the query params. So this will be the property value, and let's extract this value from our query parameter, which will be value, right? And we are going to pass this. So this will be value, and we are going to pass this as the second parameter, and the third parameter of this method will be property value. So now we have implemented all our methods, and we just need to test them if they are actually working or not. So let's test them one by one. So I'm going to just write npm start. So our API has started successfully. So I'm going to go to my Postman, and here first of all I'm going to get the list of all the cars, which is going to return us this kind of object, which is the mock object which we have already defined. Now let's do the post request. So let me just add one more request here, and this will be post request, and the route will be car. In the body, what we want to pass, we want to pass the JSON value, right? So we are going to pass the JSON value, and in the body I want to pass this kind of object. So let's pass this kind of object from here, and let's change the values. So let's say ID will be 2, the brand will be VW, the color will be red, and the model will be, let's say, Polo. Okay, and let's do this request, but this is the post request, right? So we just need to change the method here, not here, but we need to change the method here in our second tab. So the body will be this body, and let's do this request. So send, and it says 201 created. That's okay. And once we have posted our second element, we can just get all the list of all the cars using get cars. So I'm going to just send once again cars, and we are going to see that now we have 2 elements inside our array. First one was already there, and this one we have added, right? Now we are going to test our put method first of all. So I'm going to just use the similar URL, but we also want to pass the ID of the car. So let's say I want to edit the ID 2. So you see here it's ID 2, or let's say we just want to change the color of this VW car. Okay, so I will just give the ID, which is 2 here, and in the parameter value let me just change the method to put, and we want to just add the query, which will be the parameter value or property value. So property underscore name will be the color, and the property value will be, so property value will be from red, we want to change it to, let's say, blue, right? So right now we have the VW, which is red in color, and we want to change this value to blue, right? So this will be the whole query with the query parameters, and let's do this query, or let's send this, and let's send this request. So I'm going to send this request, and it says 404. So why this is happening, we need to check it. So I think the problem in our code is because we are not returning our result using promises. That's why it's giving us this problem. So I'm going to return the values from get car by ID, delete car by ID, and put car by ID using the promises. So let's do that. So I'm going to just return the promise from the get car by ID, and the type to start with we can use any here, and later you can add more specific type here. And then what I'm going to do is, first of all, I will declare a const here, and I want to check whether the ID is a number or not, and if it's not a number, then I'm going to just convert it. So const car ID is equal to number ID, and now we are going to pass this car ID here, right? And then let's return the promise. So return new promise, and then we are going to add the resolve value here, and then using the arrow function we are going to return the code which we have written here. So let's do that, and then we can just use resolved to resolve this car object. Okay, you can also add a return here and colon here. Okay, so let's do the same for our delete car by ID and put car by ID. So let me add these return types here and here, and also I'm going to add this code which will be same for both of them, and then I'm going to just close this bracket here and bracket here, and also let's fix all these indentation problems, and this car ID now will come here, and this car ID in delete car by ID will come here, and also we need to resolve it, right? So we need to send the result using the resolve. So let's do this here, and also inside the put car ID function. Okay, so now because our functions are returning promises inside our controller, we can use async await also, right? So I'm going to go to the car.controller.ts file, and here I can just write async. Also I can add this async here, and I can add this async here. Okay, if you want to be more specific, you can also create a constant here and then write await and then return your value. For example, I can just write const result is equal to await, and then I can return this value from here, which will also be fine. So I will just leave it like this because I think it's also going to work. Let's see and check if it works or not. So I think that's all we want to do here. I will just restart my app once again, and I will go to my postment request. So get cars is working. Let's post a new car with ID 2, and now we can see we have two cars here, and we want to edit this car which have the ID 2, and we want to change the color to blue. Till now it's red, right? So let's do this, and now you can see it's going to return this result, and the color of this car is changed to the blue color. Also, if you want, what you can do, because right now it's returning this service.ts file, we are just returning all the cars. So instead of returning all the cars, you can simply return the car property which you have changed. So like this. Okay, so let's run the app once again, and let's see if it works. So I will just go to my postman again. I will just add this car by ID once again, and then when I send this request, it's only going to return us the element or the object which it has changed, and we have changed specifically this value. Okay, so this is working. We also need to check if the get car by ID and delete car by ID is working or not. So let's delete this car which have the ID 2. So I'm going to just write delete, and I think we don't need to add any other parameters here, right? Let's do the get request first, and then we can do the delete. So I'm going to just send this request, and it's giving us the right response. Here you can also use one ID 1. We have ID 1 and 2, right? So it's going to give us this value by ID. Also, if I want to delete the value, so I will just use the same request. Let's say I want to delete the car by ID 2, and I will use the method delete here, and then I will just send this request, and it gives us this result, which means that it has deleted the element with the ID 2, and now we only have one car element inside our array. So when you give the get all cars request, it's going to only return us one car, because the other car we have already deleted. You can also change this response to something else. You can do something like this, that when the car is deleted, you just send no response, and you can also change the status codes here also. So our basic API code is working now. Now in this video, we are going to discuss about how we can add the MongoDB support to our Nest.js API. So we are going to start with the installation of the required packages. So I'm going to just write npm I -- save, and then you need to add these two packages, which is Nest.js / mongoose and the mongoose package itself. So mongoose, okay, and then press enter. Now once you are done with the installation of the packages, we are going to go to the main app.module.ts. So this is the app.module.ts, and here we are going to first of all import some packages from the Nest mongoose package. And which module we want here? We want to import the mongoose module from the Nest.js mongoose package, okay. And once you have this, you can use this mongoose module in order to connect to your MongoDB database. So here you can see under modules, we have imported already our car module, which we have created previously, and now we can also add the support for the mongoose module. So just copy this mongoose module dot. In mongoose module you have a few methods, so we are going to use this method, which is called for root, which is going to take your MongoDB URI as an argument. So if you are familiar with Mongoose or MongoDB, we can connect to our Mongo database using this URI. So here as the URI, I'm going to just write MongoDB and then // localhost, because I will be using my MongoDB, which is running on my local host, and then the name of your database. So let's name our database as car manager, okay. Also you can add some of the options which Mongoose takes at the time of the connection, but we are going to add these later if we require them, okay. Now what I'm using the Docker instance of MongoDB. You can install MongoDB locally, or if you are running MongoDB on a server, you can provide the URI of that server also, right? So for now I will be using the Docker to use Mongo on my Mac machine, and the command for this is docker run -p. This is the port mapping of Mongo on which we are going to listen using the local host, and this will be the location where we are going to save our Mongo data in our local machine using the Docker, right? So let's run this. You can also write -d here to run this MongoDB container in the detached mode, but I will run it as a separate instance, so you can see it's running. And now I'm going to open a new terminal, and I will just write docker ps here, and you can see this MongoDB instance is already running. So I'm going to just write docker exec -it and the name of the container, or container ID also you can give, and then space bash. So using this command, we are just opening the bash terminal inside the container, right? Now I can just give the command mongo in order to connect to my MongoDB, and here I can just say show DBs, and it's going to show me the list of all the databases. So right now it has these three databases which are created by default, and when we are going to run our app, it's going to create this database also. Okay, so now we have our Mongo database connection. Now we are going to create the schema for our MongoDB. So for that I can create a separate file inside this car directory, or I will create a folder, let's say, and I will name it as schemas, and inside the schemas folder I will add all my schemas. So the first schema will be car.schema.ts, for example, and here I will first of all import the mongoose package. So import asterisk as mongoose from mongoose, right? So because we want to create the MongoDB schema using mongoose, we will import this package, and then we are going to just create the schema. So I'm going to just write export, then const, and then the name of my schema will be, let's say, car schema, and we are going to create a new schema. So I'm going to just write new mongoose dot schema, and then we are going to add our schema inside these parentheses. So I'm going to just add these curly brackets, and then we can add our schema here. So what we have in our schema, so in our schema we have we can see the DTO. So we are going to use the same attributes inside our schema, so we can just copy and paste them here. And for now I'm going to remove this read only attribute from here, and because it's a JSON object, we need to replace this semicolon by the commas, right? We can also fix all the auto fixable problems, and this will be capital number because we are creating the Mongo DB schema using mongoose, right? So we will use these data types. Now I can also add the car interface, which I will use for the MongoDB model or mongoose model. So let's create the interfaces folder inside our car directory. So I'm going to just write interfaces and then press enter, which is going to just create this interfaces folder, and inside the interfaces folder I'm going to just write car dot interface dot ts. So here I'm going to import the documents from the mongoose package. So let's add a mongoose package, and then we will add this document from mongoose. And then I'm going to create an interface called iCar, for example. So let's name it as iCar, which will extend, so extends from document. And here we can add the interface types, which are ID, brand, color and model, same as our DTO. Okay, so once we have our interface and schema, we can go to our services, car.services.ts file, and we are not going to use this logic anymore. We will add the MongoDB logic, but first of all we need to add our schema and our interface, right? So let's add those things. So I'm going to just import. So first of all I'm going to import the model from the mongoose package, and then I'm going to import the nest.js mongoose package, right? So let me just add this nest.js mongoose package, and from here I'm going to import the inject model. Okay, and the next thing we want to import is the interface which we have created. So I'm going to just import that interface, and this will be the car interface. And what we need to import iCar, and also let's import the DTO because we are going to use that DTO. So let's import that, which is called car DTO, and we need to import the car DTO from there. Now in the constructor of our service, so let's first of all delete all this logic which we have created in the previous video, when we have seen how we can add the logic for all these method, which are put car by ID, delete car by ID, post, and then get cars, right? So let's remove all the logic from here, and also we don't need this cars mock data, so we can just remove that also. So first of all, we are going to add the constructor here, and in the constructor, in order to import the MongoDB model which we have created using the schema, we need to just add this decorator which is inject model, and then inside these brackets we need to give the schema name, which is car in our case, I think. So we are going to just write car here, and then we are going to just write private read only. The name of our model will be car model, for example, and the type of this model will be the model which we have imported from the Mongoose, and then we can just write the iCar here. Okay, and also we need to add these curly brackets. So this is how you can inject this car model inside your service, and then we can implement get cars method logic using this model. So I'm going to just write const cars, for example, and then we can just write this dot car model which we have just injected, and then we can use different methods. So we want to find out all the cars, so we can just write find, and then we can just write exec, and it's going to give us the list of all the cars, and then we can just return this car. So let's return this. Now of course you can again add the error handling here. So here, if the car is not found, so if there is no cars, and then also we can check if the first element is there inside our cars array, otherwise it's not an array, right? So we can just check that, and if we don't find this, then we need to throw an error. So we can just write throw new HTTP exception, right? And we can just give the first argument, which is not found, and the second argument will be 404, which is the status code, right? So this is how you can also add the error handling for your get cars. Now in the post car method, what we want to do, we want to post or save our car object. So here we are going to just write const car is equal to await, because we are using Mongoose using async await, so we need to add async here, and then await here, and then this dot car model dot whatever object we want to pass here. So we want to pass the car. So we have created the new car object, and now we just need to save this data. So I can just write return car dot save, and this is going to save this data. And here as an argument we can just write new car, because the name here is conflicting, right? So I'm going to just write new car here and then pass this parameter here, so this conflict can be solved. Also, I forgot to add async await here in the get cars, so I'm going to just add that and then it's going to work. Now for the get car by ID also we are going to use this kind of code, so let's copy this code from here and also add async here, and instead of using find we will just use find one method. We just need to change find to find one because we want to find on the basis of the ID. So using this curly bracket I will just use ID here and it's going to find the data based on this ID. Because we are just searching for only one data, so it will not be an array, so we can use other logic for that, which is like this: if there is no car found, then we can throw an error, otherwise we will return the result. You can use the same code for delete car by ID. We just need to add the async here, and instead of find one we use delete one, right? How do we know that the car is deleted? We know this by using car dot delete count. So car dot delete count. If this delete count is equal to 0, that means our data is not deleted. Then we can throw the not found error, otherwise we can return the car, right? And the last method will be once again put car by ID, so async here. Once again we can use the same logic, we just need to change this method here. So let's use this logic. Instead of using find one, we will just use find one and update method. So just write find one and update, and we want to find the result by ID, which is OK, and the second argument here will be what we want to update. So we want to update a single property inside that object, right? So based upon the property name we will be able to change it. So I'm going to just add this curly bracket, and then I'm going to add this square bracket, and based upon the property name I want to change the value from here. Let me fix all the ESLint errors, and now we have all the methods. Also, if you want to add the type to your car parameter here to the post car argument, you can add the type to your car, right? Also we can add the promise type here also. So I'm going to just write promise, and the type here will be car DTO, but it will be an array of car DTO, right? And in the get cars by ID we are returning only the car DTO, which is the single result, right? So in get cars we are returning the array of car DTO type, and in the get car by ID we are returning car. Same you can do for delete car by ID, and you can do the same for the put car by ID. Now there is one last step which is remaining, which we want to do in the car.module.ts file. So go to the car.module.ts file, and here we are going to import some nest packages, and we are going to first of all import the nest.js mongoose, and from the nest.js mongoose we want to import a module called mongoose module, and also we need to import our schema, right? So we will just go to our schemas and import our MongoDB schema from there. So car schema, and then we can just import this, and now we can import our MongoDB schema inside our car module. So you can just add imports, and using this square bracket you can add the mongoose module, and then inside mongoose module you need to use the for feature method, and then as the parameter for this for feature we need to add the parameters as an array. So the first element here will be the name. Let's say name is car in our case, and the second argument here will be the schema. So schema is the schema which we have imported, which is car schema, and also add the comma here, and we can just resolve all ESLint problems. Hopefully it's going to work. So let's run our code and let's see if everything works or not. So I'm going to just write npm start and let's see if it works or not. Right now our app is started. We can go to our Mongo client also and see if there is any database created or not. So right now, till now, until the start of the app, there is nothing created here. So let's use our Postman to post something. So I'm going to just post one other car with the ID 2 and brand, color and model. Let's send this request, and you can see that now we have added this into our database, and we also get the result with the ID and --v also. So now this data is added to our database. We can check it. So once again I will just write show DBs. Now I can see that this database is created. So I can use car manager, and then we can just write show collections to see all the collections. We only have one collection, which is cars, which is okay. And then we can write db dot our collection name, which is cars dot find, which is going to show you all the elements of your collection, right? So you can see there is one data which is added to our database, which is the brand VW, color red and model Polo, which we have added using this post request. Let's add one more element with ID 1. Let's say brand will be BMW and the color will be something and the model will be BMW X. And now I'm going to just send this request, and you can see it's also added, and now I can just use this find, and now we can see there are two documents inside our MongoDB collection. So the put method is working. Let's see if get cars method is going to work. So it's going to give us a list of all the cars, and it works. You can see we are getting the list of all the cars. Now we want to use the get car by ID. So I want to send this request, which is for the car with the ID 1, and it's going to give me the result. That's working. Let's query for the car with the ID 2. It also works. Now I want to do some put method. So let's say I want to change the property name color in the car ID 2 with the blue color. Right now the car ID 2 have the color red, right? So let's send this request, and you can see it's working or not working. So still the color is red, and we can also query here, and here the color is changed to blue. Okay, so this edit is working, but somehow the result here is red because we are just sending, let's go to the service, because we are just sending our car which is found, right? So you can see our method name here is find1. So it's going to find the document by ID. So it has found the document by ID and return us the document, which will be changed, and then it will update the property. Okay, so this is also working as expected, right? So inside our database, its color is blue, which is okay. And let's use the delete method to delete this document. So I want to delete the document with the ID 2. Let's send this request, and you can see deleted count is equal to 1. That means it's deleted. and that means when we go and query our database, you can see we have only one document here. Okay, so delete is also working. There is one little annoying thing which is, you can see when we query for our data, the default ID which is created is also coming, and this --v is also coming. So let's say we want to filter out these two things, because for us these four elements are important, and this is the unwanted data which is coming from the MongoDB, right? So for this we can create the projections. So in the car service, go at the top, and then we are going to just write const car projection, and then is equal to curly bracket, and here we can just add whatever projection we want. So we want to filter out -v, so we can just write -v false. Also we want to filter out the ID, so _ID, and then it will be also false. Okay, so this is our projection, and this projection we can add to the get cars methods here as the second argument. So we are going to just add a blank curly bracket here, and as the second argument of the find we can add this projection. Also in the get cars by ID we can add as the second argument this cars projection. This projection is going to filter out the __v and _id from your result. So let's run our app once again. I'm going to stop and rerun it, and once it's going to run, we will see if our projection is working or not. So it's running now. Let's get all the data. So previously, as you can see, we were getting __id and _-v. Let's send this again. Now we have only the data which we want, because we have added the filter for that using projections, right? So I think that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next video.